I see myself in another car. My great-grandpa actually used to have a 1949 Chevy Fleetline, and I've always wanted one like that because I love lowrider, and then I consider this a lowride, even though it's not like a American car, it's not a boat, but I do want to get a Fleetline for sure. I had this car for 8 years. I actually brought it from San Francisco when I used to live out there. Yeah. I remember when my family and I used to go to TJ a lot, and my aunt had one of these exactly, but it was like a mid-60s. I have a late 60s. And she would take us, like me and my cousins, just imagine a bunch of like overweight kids, 11 years old, just in the back seat. And then the suspension in this car is like terrible, so like it was already dragging. You could hear the muffler scraping every speed bump you take. And that's like one of the most like memorable times that I've ever had. And I've always wanted one. And now that I have my hands on one, it's like it's taking me everywhere, dude. Like it's an amazing car for me, at least. And it's like a very easy car to like work on. And I learned so much. A lot of tears, blood, and sweat, dude. Like honestly, there's like rust. Get stuck on that shit, and I fucking bust my fingers open. That shit messes me up, but it's still here with me today. So yeah.
Here's a chrysalis that butterfly was in and it never got to come out, so it died inside. And then right here we got butterfly. They emerged from a chrysalis, but the wings never developed fully. Right here we got one that fully emerged, but the wings got stuck to the chrysalis, so the wings never got to develop and stayed crumbled. Right here we have a caterpillar that was going to pupate into a chrysalis, and it didn't make it, so the body on top exploded. And here we got one that had came. The wings never fully developed, and it died peacefully. I thought it was beautiful enough to put in the frame. That's something I always wanted to see, like the butterflies migrate, and it's just everywhere. Like you see butterflies, the trees, like the leaves look like they're just filled with butterflies. Yeah, but it's beautiful, and that's probably a goal in life to like go to Mexico and just see the migration.
That's a good question, man. So I had this old Japanese pinstriper back in the day in 2014. He saw my other old bike, and the way that it was chopped, he looked at it. He's like, "Oh, you got girls? Panties are gonna drop." And I didn't understand what he was saying. So I had a good friend that explained to me what he said. He's like, "Can I pinstripe your tank, the panty dropper?" I was like, "Of course, man. You're a fucking OG from Japan pinstriper. His name's Boo." And I was like, "Of course, my man." So I was actually really had a lot of gratitude for that. So I appreciate that. And so I kept the gas tank. So if you look up the panty dropper 10 years ago, you'll see old bikes. That was mine, and it's been in magazines and all that other stuff. It was mostly, honestly, I started getting into old cars and obviously old bikes and stuff, and that was my thing, you know? And I'm still into that, you know, old bikes. You know, everybody changes their mindset, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you gotta do what makes you happy.
My name is Robert Gutierrez. I live in Los Angeles, California, specifically Lincoln Heights, Los Angeles. Born and raised, lived here my whole life. I grew up in LA skating, around graffiti, art culture. As a young kid, I would go to the Seventh Letter with my dad. Early on, and we would go to neck face shows and just be surrounded by art growing up, and I feel all those things heavily influenced me now. Up to 2017, I created a brand called Palasade. It was created in the classroom organically. This class was a class where everybody kind of took the class to just get an easy A, kind of like a bullshit class. No one took seriously, which I, in the end, when I graduated, it was like, this class can make you money. Like, learning these things is like a trade where you can like build off of this and create an empire, which I didn't know early on until my teacher came up to me and convinced me, hey, let's make a screen. Like, you know, you don't have the best grade in the class. Let's get you going. And I'm very thankful for that, because he's the reason why I have all these things I have now. If he would never convince me, like, hey, let's get it going, like, I wouldn't have any of this. So pretty much what I did was I made a design. It was a Playboy bunny with 2 dice. I made that screen. I put some t-shirts out, and I was selling them for like $10 a piece. People were like, hey, let me get this shirt, you know, during the middle of class, like, you know, right here, $10. And it just kept going and going and going, and it was just kind of like building up. And with that money, I was saving. I was going to downtown, getting more t-shirts. I didn't know anything about downtown and like the whole fashion district. You know, I came in this game like not knowing anybody, not knowing how to do Photoshop, Illustrator, no connections, no nothing. So like getting these t-shirts, I would come back to school, print during school, ditch some classes, come in during lunch while all my friends were outside, and I'd start printing t-shirts. And it just kept building and building and building, and keep selling t-shirts. And there was one point where I kind of like wasn't really managing like the money well. You know, I'm in high school, like I'm like buying like freaking food after school and like, you know, stuff like that. So there was a point where this group of people in my school, they do an event every year where it's like a powder puff, like Dust Bowl type thing, and they needed t-shirts within like 3 days, and obviously no printer's gonna really like want to do stuff like that. So they came to me with an opportunity of a job. They're like, hey, we need you to print, I believe it was like 800 t-shirts in 3 days. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. Like, so pretty much I would skip some classes, which some of my teachers were like cool with me, like skipping the class, go print these t-shirts, stay after school till like 8 p.m. and like print out and knock out all these t-shirts within 3 days. I had them ready, and it was like a crazy like experience. Like that was kind of like my first experience into like printing and doing production with other people. So I kind of had the confidence, like, hey, I could do this, and I could print for other people, and I can potentially expand this into a business. And when they paid me, I grabbed all that money and I went straight to downtown. The next day, I had my mom drive me, and I specifically remember like her like being out there waiting for me, and like me putting in the order for these t-shirts, and pretty much came 2 days later to school and printed out a whole collection. And I pretty much opened my website on April 20th, 2018, I believe. And the first day I dropped, nobody bought anything until maybe like midnight. It was like one of my friends, my good friends now, Shiloh, he was my first order. And like I just knew like this could be something. So I just kept going, I kept pushing it, and pretty much the brand kept growing. I kept shooting lookbooks at school, like I would like ditch freaking football practice to go print. There was a time where my coach came in and he caught me printing, and it was just like this sick, like just like everybody was looking at me because he knew that I wasn't supposed to be in there. The teacher, like whatever, it was this whole thing. I had to freaking run the next day, but just like growing up and like printing and like young, like 17, like teaching myself how to be a salesman and like deal with people and like keeping money and keeping a business afloat, just like pretty much made me who I am today. With like all these t-shirts I put out, you know, like every single t-shirt that's been put out from 2017 to like now, I've printed, I've touched, I've folded, I've bagged, I've shipped. It's all in-house production. So it's just like a crazy experience to know that, you know, you could build something from nothing and come up to now. And there was a point in time where it was like really slow, you know, after I graduated I had nowhere else like to print. It was like a dead zone, you know, nothing, I wasn't putting out no content. I had college, you know, it was summer, you know, I wasn't putting out anything at all. And I felt like that was like a backtrack point. But as soon as school started again, I contacted my teacher and he would let me come after school. So I would come straight from college and like boom, like wait at the gate 3 p.m. till school ends. And I would come in, bring in my box of t-shirts, and he would let me print, and we would stay there till like 9 p.m. And I really appreciate him for letting me do that, because I've never met a teacher more dedicated in helping a student like learn and, you know, teaching them like, you know, you could really make something out of this. You know, I didn't know anything like what I wanted to do with myself in high school, just like every kid. Like you really don't know like what you want to do until you find like that niche, and he helped me find that thing that I liked about and I was passionate about. So I'm really grateful for Glenn Laird at Eagle Rock High School for helping me. He recently actually retired after, I think he was there for about like 30 years at that school. You either stop or you keep going and keep pushing and you keep pushing the brand. And like I was talking about that dead zone, like I could have just left it at that and just made it like this high school thing, like just forget it in the past. But I decided like, you know, I'm gonna keep pushing it because I feel like there's something, like a spark that can be lit up here. So as I kept pushing, we pretty much, I pretty much bought equipment, and my aunt helped me purchase like my whole press and all this equipment that's in here. I had no place to print, so I would print under that tarp, under this carport, under all these conditions, like, you know, it was like 120 outside, 110, freaking rain or shine, I'd print for these people. So yeah, just printing under those conditions kind of like humbles you and makes you feel grateful for what you have now. Like this garage, I know it isn't much, like it's not a warehouse, but I'm grateful that I have this, and my dad helped me build this. And 2019 we pretty much finished building this. His friend did all the electrical, and I pretty much opened up Palasade Printing Supply, and from there on I've been printing everything in-house, printing for people, doing production for a lot of brands, whether it's publicly or silently. Yeah, we've just been growing. I do all the printing myself, shipping, everything. I've had friends come and help me here and there. I'm really grateful for them. At this point, it's like it's only gonna grow bigger, and everything that happened then in high school and all these like hills and things that I've had to overcome just makes you who you are today, and all these experiences, and it helped me grow into the person I am today. Yeah, this is Palasade Printing.